Multitasking versus distraction. And I think probably we've had the same argument with our spouse or other family members. I'm not distracted, I'm multitasking. And so there's a lot of interesting science here, and I always like to point out with students, just giving a real example, saying, have you ever started reading a book when you had homework at night and your phone goes off? So you pick up your phone and you respond, you put the phone down, and you start reading again and realize, I don't really remember where I was. So you start back off at the top of the page, phone goes off, you check it, you put it down, you go back, start back at the top of the page, and after a half an hour, they've read one paragraph, and they still don't know what it says. Because we're not actually multitasking, we're distracted. He was telling me how last season, they actually hired a guy on their staff his whole role was to basically do research on their recruits, who they were recruiting to see what kind of presence they have online. And so if they've got two candidates that both, and when you're at a Division I level, they're a dime a dozen. We all are the same height and the same thing. And if they got two individuals that are close to the same, but this one throws their coach under the bus, and this one talks about their players negatively, or their teammates, or their parents, and just continues to air out dirty laundry online, they don't recruit that player. Why? Because they don't want to bring that kind of diversion, or rather dissension on their program. Why bring somebody onto our team that we know is going to cause problems? That makes bold comments that are really hateful and wrong or racist or whatever on other social media accounts. We're seeing that for the first time. What can I do moving forward? So I give 5 things always. My number 1 with cell phones is to talk. Talk as a family. Don't make assessments based on what you know or don't know about cell phones or social media and then make that the decision. Have a conversation. You'd probably be surprised at how willing your kids are at probably coming up with a more strict punishment than you do. I love doing it. It's my favorite thing to do. What do you think your punishment would be? And my seventh grader will be like, I should be grounded from Fortnite for a year. You're right, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to do a month. Oh, thank you. Whereas if I would come to him, right, and say, you're grounded for a month, what would he do? He'd flip house. Like, what? A month? And it's so interesting when we do that way. Talking with them gives them that opportunity. Have a charging station. This is the number 1 way. You have to charge the phone, and so don't let them charge it in their bedrooms, right? Make a charging station somewhere in your house. Maybe it's in the foyer, maybe it's right at the entrance, maybe it's somewhere in the kitchen. Find a spot, make a cool little basket. There's so many fun things out there now. Plug in your thing, hide it if you need to hide it with a bush or a plant, and then run those cords into the basket, and everybody puts their phone in the basket. You've got to have a space that this is where the phones go at night. This is where the phones go at dinner. This is where the phones go when we have to have family time and talk for a little bit. They've got to have that space. They're not going to make those boundaries. That's one that I'm stepping in saying, parents, we got to make those boundaries.